the old Cuba Club. Miami, Florida and Havana, Cuba. A Calliope and Armando Ruiz presentation. The Castle of the Three Wise Kings of the Morro. Havana's Morro Castle was designed in the last decades of the 16th century by the engineer Bautista Antonelli, with the aim to protect the villa of St. Christopher of Havana. Together with the lighthouse which accompanies it, it is a symbol of that city and of Cuba. From the beginning of the 16th century, the port of Havana welcomed the ships which came along the navigation and trade route off the old Bahama Canal. Since 1531, it was a meeting point for the Terra Firme and New Spain fleets, due to its location in the Gulf of Mexico and at the entrance to the Florida Canal, as well as its climatic and topographic conditions. Havana provided a safe place to return to Spain. Fast-flowing fortunes of gold, silver, precious silks and other rich cargoes were retained annually in the port of Havana. The riches that passed through the city attracted the attention of other European nations, corsairs and pirates. In 1537 and 1538, the village of St. Christopher off Havana was sacked and burned by French corsairs. In 1543, the corsair, Roberto Baal, threatened Santiago de Cuba, without success. Then, he went to Havana, where he was also defeated. In addition to these two cities, the villages of Trinidad and Baracoa were also attacked during this period. In 1555, the attack of Jacques de Sores to Havana took place. In 1586, Francis Drake threateningly approached the Havana shores. In 1556, King Felipe II of Spain orders Diego de Mazarigos, governor of the island, to fortify the entrance of the port. A first construction rises in the year 1563, a tower which served as watchtower at the height of the entrance rocks. From the heights of the castle, located on a cliff at the entrance to the port, the villa could be seen, so it became the main point of contact with the other defenses. This condition made the fortress the primary custody of the city until the construction of La Cabaña Fortress in the last third of the 18th century. The fortress projects itself on the waters at an acute angle, and from there are stepped and open successive curtains until reaching the backside, in which it communicates with the land, protected by 2 bastions and a moat. Standing on a high rock, the castle of the 3 wise kings of El Morro represents the classic permanent bastion fortification of the 16th century. The hilly terrain prevents it from achieving the perfect symmetry of the Renaissance plans. It is an irregular polygon that fits a long tongue going out to the sea and giving way to the port. The castle has a platform by the coast and another series of irregular walls enclosing the building with an extension of 777.20 feet, 223.25 meters. On its 3 sides it measures about 2,313.30 feet, 664.50 meters. On the land front it has a curtain and 2 half-asymmetrical bastions, with a dimension of 742.50 feet, 213.28 meters. On the land front it has a curtain and 2 half-asymmetrical bastions, with a dimension of 742.50 feet, 213.28 meters. The pit was conceived without water and deep to prevent the passage of the enemy. It is a counterscarp, a wall opposite the steep wall of the castle, which has an intermediary moat. A covered road, immediate to the natural terrain by the counterscarp, which extends parallel to the line of the land front and was delimited and protected by a stalag and then by a parapet, for the alignment of the troops and the musketry. And a glacis, a continuous terrain in decline increasing the entrenchment for say, which makes it difficult to descend to the pit and conceals military movements to the eyes of the offender. The Castle of El Morro in 1602. Its interior spaces have a dynamic system of interconnection among themselves, which are completed with different access and communication channels. At the end of the English occupation in Havana, in 1762, the new Spanish government in Cuba carried out a modern and functional defensive plan adapted to the topographic conditions of the city and taking into account the experiences acquired with the English invasion. The main executors and directors of this project were the military engineers, Silvestre Abarca and Agustin Cremé. At this time, it was decided to adapt and modernize the castle, creating a new defensive tactical system and conditioning the formal and functional aspects to the new requirements imposed by the arms industry and the methods established by the poliorcetica during the 18th century. The original Tower of the Morro was definitely demolished in 1845. In its place rises the lighthouse, built with ashlar material and thick walls of 7.5 feet at its base, with 4 windows to disperse air and light. The tower is circular in shape and its diameter decreases gradually from the base up to a height of 108 feet. It has 2 bodies. The first one is 76 feet high, and the rest is finished off with a cornice where there is an iron balustrade, the base where the lantern and the dome rest. The keeper of the Morro Castle Lighthouse in Havana, Cuba, shows us the original Fresnel lens from 1845. It is wound manually every 3 hours. The lens sits on its original reserve of mercury for smooth rotation. The castle houses a club restaurant, which serves as a disco, a venue for private parties and other activities. View of the Morro from Missions Avenue. Avenue of Belgium. View from Port Avenue. Havana, one of the 7 wonder cities of the world, celebrates 500 years of history and culture.